And before we start to dig deeper what's going on in the country of neighboring Hungary, I have to ask you this question in the beginning. So my first will be very short. Do you support the politics of Hungary and Fidesz particular party?
Fortunately, no, and I am totally denounce Orban's policy, his government, because unfortunately, Mr. Orban conveys open defiance to us, to Ukraine, country, in everything. Defiance to our existence, defiance to our dignity and our independence.
So it's just to know your position, and now we'll try to understand some main points of what's going on. So let me start with the communication of Hungary with the European Union, and I add some information and then we'll discuss with you. So Hungary's multiple breaches of European Union law make it unfit to hold the bloc's rotating presidency in 2024, and members of European Parliament warned this week in a resolution adopted this week that the resolution, which has the support of the European Parliament's three main parties, the centre-right EPP, Socialists and Democrats, and Liberal Renew Europe, as well as the Greens and left groups, is not legally binding, but points that the way to yet another major political row between Brussels and Budapest, where party Fidesz has governed since 2010. The Hungarian government is due to hold the 6-month presidency of the Council of Ministers from July 2024, less than a month after the next European elections. While the rotating presidency has carried far less political influence to shape debate since the introduction of a permanent European Council president by the Lisbon Treaty, it is responsible for shaping negotiation of European Union laws. The resolution questions how Hungary will be able to fulfill this task in 2024 credibly, given its non-compliance with European Union law and the values enshrined in Article 2 of the Treaty on European Union, as well as the principle of sincere cooperation. Elsewhere, the resolution success the Fidesz government of systemic corruption and condemns the Hungarian government's anti-European communications campaigns, which are part of the government's strategy to divert attention from its non-compliance with the values enshrined in Article 2 on the Treaty of European Union. So the Fidesz government of Prime Minister Viktor Orban has been in near permanent conflict with the European Union institutions in recent years, primarily over disputes over judicial independence, press and civil society freedom, and the rule of law. Let's hear Viktor Orban himself.
You are right that Hungary is a country which thinks that if you do something 10 times, like introducing sanction packages, and it's failed, it's not reasonable to do it 11 times, do it again, hoping that the outcome will be different. This is against the common sense. So the sanction policy of European Union, in our understanding, simply does not work.
So first of all, I want to understand as far as possible the true motives of such statements by Mr. Orban, his government, or Orban himself, let's say. After all, his assessments of even this situation with the effectiveness of sanctions is obviously subjective to him, if not saying more rough. It coincides with Russian messages. So what is your opinion? Is Mr. Orban defending the interests of Hungary or the European Union, or his motives far beyond the state interests? How do you think?
Yeah, it's very deep question, but I think Mr. Orban mindset has been totally destroyed by Russian propaganda, by Russians from 2009. What happened? 2009, Mr. Orban visited St. Petersburg, a party of Yedina Russia, and met a lot of Russian establishments. And after that, he changed his mind 180 degrees. And unfortunately, after election 2012, all these Russian narratives were closed to Mr. Orban. And he continued to today this policy and totally under the Russian caps because he doesn't know anything, and unfortunately he has nothing with European values, nothing with democracy, nothing with European Union. His name today in Hungary, dictator.
It's very interesting. But you say that he turned back from this meeting a completely different personality. So he was brainwashed, or he really believes in all these narratives of Russia, or is just the question of money? Because for me, it's always was the question, why Hungary doesn't remember its own history, what happened after the Second World War, and with the position of Soviet Union towards Hungary, with the tanks in Budapest.
You are totally right, because it's not only question of mind. Unfortunately, this question viable to historian roots. Because, you know, Hungary was the last country where serfdom eliminated in 19th centuries. Because Hungary's population were under serfdom psychology. And today, 3 million voters, Orban voters, first of all, uneducated provincial people, and for interesting moment, Budapest, capital of Hungary, never voted for Orban. He lost all elections area in Budapest. He won only in provincial area, but unfortunately, he also totally destroyed rule of law and changed election law, which is totally under his rules.
I didn't want to ask this, but from what you're saying, I just trying to understand why these provinces, as you say, people believe in Orban. Are these regions are wealthy? Or what's position made them vote for him?
No. Unfortunately, Hungary is a very poor country. 100% depend from the European Union because Hungary totally acceptance. Not donator in the European Union. Every year, Hungary had more than 7 billion euros as a donation. And as you know, today it's a greatest problem for Hungary because more than 2 years this donation has been stopped. And today, Minister of Finance in Hungary, Mr. Varga, said Hungary hasn't any plans, any contingent plans, how to provide and how to fulfill all plans and all social programs.